Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we are talking about three forms of one very common verb. Those three forms are write, wrote, and written.
These three words confuse so many learners because they all come from the same verb but look completely different. Using the wrong one sounds immediately wrong to a native speaker. So today we are going to explain exactly what each form is, when to use it, what structures it goes into, what mistakes to avoid, and give you plenty of examples. Let us start from the very beginning. These three words are all forms of the same verb, the verb to write. Can you explain what the three forms are called?
Sure. Every English verb has what we call principal forms. For irregular verbs like write, there are three main forms: the base form, the simple past form, and the past participle form. Write is the base form, wrote is the simple past form, written is the past participle form.
So these three forms each have a specific job. They are not interchangeable.
Exactly. Each one belongs in specific grammatical situations. Using one in the wrong place is a grammar error. So let's look at each one carefully.
Let us start with write. When do we use write?
Write is the base form. You use it in several situations. First, in the present simple tense with I, you, we, and they. I write in my journal every morning. You write very clearly. They write reports every week. Second, you use write after modal verbs like can, will, should, must, might, could, and would. She can write beautifully. He will write the letter tomorrow. You should write more often. After any modal verb, the base form write is always used.
And write is also used in the infinitive form.
Yes, to write is the infinitive, and it appears in many structures. I want to write a novel. She learned to write at age 5. He needs to write an apology. To write follows verbs like want, need, learn, hope, decide, and many others.
So write is the clean base form used in present simple for I, you, we, and they, after modal verbs, and in the infinitive to write.
Exactly. And there's one more use. In the third person singular present, write gets an S added to it. He writes, she writes, it writes. So for he, she, and it in the present simple, you say writes, not write.
That S is very important. He write is wrong. He writes is correct.
Always. I write, you write, we write, they write. But he writes, she writes, it writes. The S goes on for third person singular present.
Now let's talk about wrote. When do we use wrote?
Wrote is the simple past tense of write. You use wrote when you're talking about a completed action in the past at a specific time. She wrote a letter last night. He wrote 3 pages before breakfast. I wrote to my friend last week. They wrote the entire report yesterday.
So wrote is used for finished past actions, and it works with all subjects.
Yes, I wrote, you wrote, he wrote, she wrote, it wrote, we wrote, they wrote. Wrote never changes. It's the same for every subject, and it never needs a helper verb. It stands alone in a sentence.
Wrote stands alone, no helper verb before it.
Right. You never say I did wrote, or she has wrote, or they had wrote. Wrote is only used in simple past sentences without any helper. She wrote the email. I wrote the answer. That's it. Clean, simple, and alone.
And you usually have a time expression with wrote to signal the past.
Often yes. Yesterday, last week, in 2010, this morning, when I was young, these time expressions go with wrote. She wrote her first story when she was 8. He wrote the proposal last Monday. I wrote this letter 3 days ago.
But even without a time expression, if the context makes it clear you're talking about a finished past event, wrote is correct.
Yes, the context always guides you. Did you write this? Yes, I wrote it this morning. Wrote is the answer because it's a completed past action.
Now let's talk about written. This one is the past participle, and it's the one learners find most difficult.
Yes, written is the past participle of write, and the past participle is never used alone in a sentence. It always needs a helper verb before it. The helper verbs that go with written are have, has, had, and forms of be.
So written always needs a helper. It can never stand alone.
Never. You cannot say she written a book or I written this. Those are completely wrong. Written must always have a helper verb in front of it.
Let's look at each helper verb with written.
With have and has, written forms the present perfect tense. Have written or has written. I have written many essays in my life. She has written 3 novels. They have written to the company twice. Have written with I, you, we, and they. Has written with he, she, and it.
And what does present perfect with have written mean?
Present perfect connects the past to the present. I have written many essays means at various points in my past I wrote essays, and this experience connects to who I am now. She has written 3 novels means the novels exist as an achievement in her life up to this moment. It's about life experience and actions still relevant to now. And you don't usually say a specific time with present perfect. I wrote a letter yesterday uses wrote because yesterday is a finished past time. I have written many letters before uses have written for general life experience.
Now written with had.
Had written is the past perfect tense. You use this when you have 2 past events and you want to show which one happened first. She had written the email before the meeting started. Writing the email came first, the meeting started after. He had written his name on the list before they closed it. Writing the name happened first, then closing happened.
So had written shows the earlier of 2 past events.
Always. Had plus written for the earlier past action. Simple past for the later past action. By the time I arrived, she had already written everything down. Arriving came after the writing. Written is in the earlier position.
And written with forms of be?
Written with am, is, are, was, or were forms the passive voice. The letter is written in formal English. The report was written by the whole team. The signs were written in 3 languages. The book is written for beginners. In passive voice, written describes the state or the action being done to something.
So passive voice with written shows that something received the action of writing. The subject of the sentence is not the one who wrote. It had the writing done to it.
Yes, the letter is written means someone wrote the letter and the letter received that action. We do not know or do not care who wrote it. The focus is on the letter itself. Written by adds the doer if needed. The report was written by the manager.
So written appears in 4 main structures. Have or has plus written for present perfect, had plus written for past perfect, a form of be plus written for passive voice, and as an adjective.
Yes, written can describe a noun, a written exam, written permission, written instructions, written communication. Here, written means expressed in writing rather than spoken. Do you have written confirmation? A written agreement is different from a spoken one. These are everyday expressions worth knowing.
Now let us compare all 3 forms side by side using the same context so the difference is crystal clear.
Let us use the context of a book. Present simple. She writes a book every 2 years. Writes with S for she. Simple past. She wrote a brilliant book last year. Wrote for a completed past action at a specific time. Present perfect. She has written 5 books in her career. Has written for a life achievement connected to now. Past perfect. She had written 2 books before she became famous. Had written for the earlier of 2 past events. Passive. The book was written for young adults. Was written for passive voice.
Same subject, same activity, completely different forms and meanings based on the tense and structure needed. Now let us talk about negative forms and questions briefly.
For simple present, the negative is do not write or does not write. She does not write to anyone. Questions use do or does. Do you write a diary? Does she write her own speeches? For simple past, the negative is did not write. He did not write back. Questions use did. Did she write the report? For present perfect, the negative is have not written or has not written. I have not written anything today. Questions use have or has. Have you written your assignment? Has he written the proposal yet? For passive, the negative adds not after the be verb. The report was not written on time. Questions flip the subject and helper. Was the letter written before the deadline? All of these follow standard patterns. Written itself never changes. Only the helpers around it change.
Now let us get into the common mistakes.
The first and most common mistake is using wrote where written is needed. Saying, I have wrote this myself. Wrong. After have, you need the past participle, written. I have written this myself. Or she has wrote 3 books. Wrong. She has written 3 books.
So after have and has, always use written, never wrote.
Never. Have wrote and has wrote do not exist in correct English. Written is the only correct form after have and has.
The second mistake is using written where wrote is needed, saying, I written a letter yesterday. Wrong. Yesterday signals simple past. No helper verb is present, so wrote is the correct form. I wrote a letter yesterday.
Written alone without a helper verb is always wrong. If there is no helper verb before it, you need wrote for past actions.
The third mistake is using write where wrote is needed, saying, I write this letter last night. Wrong. Last night is a past time signal. The form must be past. I wrote this letter last night.
Write is present. Wrote is past. When a past time word is in the sentence, always check that your verb form is also past.
The fourth mistake is forgetting to change write to writes for third person singular in present simple. He write every day is wrong. He writes every day is correct. She write well is wrong. She writes well is correct.
That S for he, she, and it in present simple is essential. Missing it is a very noticeable grammar error.
The fifth mistake is using written in passive voice without the helper be verb, saying the report written by the manager without the was before it. Wrong. The report was written by the manager. The was is the essential helper in passive voice.
Always include the be helper in passive. Is written, was written, are written, were written, has been written. The be form is never optional in passive.
The sixth mistake is mixing up wrote and written by forgetting which needs a helper and which stands alone. Wrote always stands alone in simple past. Written always needs a helper. That single rule resolves most of the confusion.
Yes, if you see a helper verb like have, has, had, or a form of be before the gap, the answer is written. If there is no helper and you're talking about a past event, the answer is wrote. Present time means write or writes.
The final mistake is using righted or writ as past forms. Some learners try to follow regular verb patterns and say she righted or she writ. Neither of these is correct. Write is irregular. The past is wrote. The past participle is written. There is no righted.
Write, wrote, written. Those are the only 3 forms. Nothing else is accepted.
Now let us do a quick practice round.
First one. She blank 2 chapters before lunch yesterday.
The answer is wrote. She wrote 2 chapters before lunch yesterday. Yesterday signals simple past, no helper verb, wrote stands alone.
Second one. I have never blank a poem in my life.
The answer is written. I have never written a poem in my life. Have is the helper verb before the gap. After have, you need the past participle written.
Third one. The contract blank by both parties last Friday.
The answer is was written. The contract was written by both parties last Friday. This is passive voice. Was is the be helper and written is the past participle.
Fourth one. By the time the editor arrived, she had already blank the entire article.
The answer is written. She had already written the entire article. Had is the helper verb showing past perfect. The earlier past action uses had plus written.
Fifth one. He blank a new post on his blog every Monday.
The answer is writes. He writes a new post every Monday. He is third person singular, present simple. Write gets an S for he, she, it. Writes.
Sixth one. Blank you blank back to her after you received the letter.
The answer is did you write? Did you write back to her after you received the letter? Simple past question. Did is the helper and write goes back to base form after did.
Seventh one. The instructions blank clearly for beginners to understand.
The answer is are written. The instructions are written clearly for beginners. Passive voice in present tense. Are is the be helper and written is the past participle.
Eighth one. I blank my first English essay when I was 12 years old.
The answer is wrote. I wrote my first English essay when I was 12. When I was 12 is a specific past time. Simple past. Wrote stands alone.
Perfect. Every single one correct.
You can really see how the helper verb before the gap is the biggest clue. Helper there means written, no helper and past time means wrote, present time means write or writes.
Exactly. Train your eyes to look for the helper verb first, and the answer becomes clear almost instantly.
Let us do the final summary.
Write is the base form. Use it in present simple with I, you, we, they. After modal verbs like can, will, should, must. In the infinitive, to write. I write, they write, she can write, to write well.
Writes is the present simple form for he, she, and it. He writes, she writes, it writes. Do not forget the S for third person singular.
Wrote is the simple past form. Use it for completed past actions at a specific time. It stands alone without any helper verb. I wrote, she wrote, they wrote. Never have wrote or had wrote. Wrote is always alone.
Written is the past participle. It always needs a helper, with have and has for present perfect, I have written, she has written, with had for past perfect, she had written, with forms of be for passive voice, is written, was written, are written, were written. Also used as an adjective, written permission, a written exam.
The biggest mistakes to avoid: never say have wrote or has wrote. After have and has, use written. Never say I written alone without a helper. Without a helper, use wrote for past. Never say he write. For he, she, and it in present simple, always use writes. Never say writted. Write is irregular. Only write, wrote, written.
3 forms, 3 clear jobs. Write for present and base use, wrote for simple past standing alone, written for everything that needs a helper verb. Keep those 3 pictures in mind and you'll always choose correctly.
That's all for today. Keep practicing and we'll see you in the next one.
You're doing brilliantly. Keep going.